You know, that is probably the toughest question I could ever think of to answer because I don't know what I would do was just sit back and try to think of something. I don't know that there's any inspiration involved. If when I worked at Marvel, I worked for a publisher, and for example, when the Fantastic Four sold well, he said, "Oh, maybe the fans like groups of heroes. Come up with another group." So I sat and I thought, and I came up with the X-Men. But how I did it, or I don't know. I mean, I just tried to think of a group. And I probably thought of a number of them where I said, nah, that's no good. Nah, that's no good. In fact, with the X-Men, I remember one of the toughest things is coming up with the superpower. How do they get their superpower? And I had already had the Fantastic Four get their power from cosmic rays, and I think Daredevil got his from gamma rays, and Spider-Man got his from a radioactive spider, and I was running out of ideas. So I said, hey, I'll make them mutants. They're born that way, and then I don't need any new rays. But it's just a matter of thinking. I mean, you sit and you think until the right idea hits you. There's no trick to it. Every writer in the world has to be aware of what's happening around him. And you usually try to inject a little bit of what's going on in your story.
Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is Comics Club Philippines, all about comics and comics collectibles. Joining us still are Brian Luna, head of admin of Comics Club Philippines, Ryan Sulit, former administrator of the club, and joining them is Gerald Uy, who is the resident blogger of Comics Club Philippines. Welcome back, guys, and especially Gerald, to our third and final segment.
Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure to have you here. Pero guys, you saw that interview with the man, no? Stan Lee. And you know, he makes it appear na, okay, we've been talking a lot about his creations, diba, the past 30-40 minutes. And to hear him say that, parang napakadali sa kanya. Sabi niya, wala, parang inisip ko lang, ganyan. I mean, the man is a genius, no? I mean, to create the Marvel Universe. How many characters are there in the Marvel Universe? Would you guys know?
Tons, dami na eh.
Gano'ng kalaki ba yung Marvel Universe, di ba?
Kasi malaki siya.
Hindi na isang universe ngayon.
Hindi na isang universe.
Iba-ibang universe na ngayon.
Multiverse.
Yeah. Ang galing talaga, ang galing. And so, kayo mga comics collectors really have a lot to thank to this man, no? And if you see him, he's still very strong. In fact, sa mga scene, may mga cameo pa siya, di ba? Yeah. Sa Avengers, sa Thor, sa Captain America, he always has a little cameo. Anyway, welcome, Gerald. Let's talk about you as a resident blogger. Tell us a bit about you and your work.
I blog at my eponymous site. It's www.geralduy.com with a J, Gerald with a J. And basically, primarily, it's about comics and pop culture. Then I expanded to other lifestyle stories. Pero basically, I'm foremost a comics fan. And I started the blog. I started to blog about local comics and local comic book creators.
Okay.
Yun, kasi parang minsan naisip natin na, I mean, we have may industry nga sa US, comic book industry, and tayo rin mga Pinoy, we also have our stories to share sa world.
Ayun nga, pinag-usapan namin earlier, yung just before we stop for a break, yung Pinoy comics. Kasi we also have a rich comic industry, kaya nga siguro yung ating artists magaling tumira. Dahil meron silang, nakabihas na, di ba? Anong masasabi mo doon, Gerald?
Yeah, siguro kung talent, rich talaga tayo eh. Pero sa ngayon, meron talagang resurgence of comic book creators. And we're now seeing comic books in book formats in bookstores, and we're also seeing photocopied grassroots na mga indie comics sa mga local comic book stores.
Indie comics. Okay. What got you into this blogging about comics? Okay, you love comics, pero are you a collector as well? Are you a investor, speculator,
siguro
reader?
Sa category, I'm a reader kasi gusto ko talaga yung literature. Though, syempre, poor art can destroy us a comic book store because it's a visual medium. Yan. So I'm also yung maganda rin yung art.
No, okay. You mentioned a lot of I mean, you did mention about indie art, indie comics, all that. Ano yung estado ngayon ng local comic industry? I mean, is it thriving? Is it picking up sa mainstream? How come we outside the comic book universe don't really hear about local comics?
Kasi siguro gone are the days na nakikita sa bangketa yung mga comics. Na dati may funny comics.
Yan yung isang tanong ko sa inyo. you guys in the club, ano yung feeling niyo sa threat na parang, okay, people are saying, and I've read some articles about it, na parang wala na raw relevance yung comics printed, ha? Dahil meron raw digital medium ngayon, hindi na raw bibili yung mga tao ng comics,
Dinadownload
ganyan.
na.
Bakit para, ba't pa tayo magbabasa ng comic? Anong masasabi niyo doon? Brian?
Ako kasi
Brian.
parang iba yung feel pag hawak mo yung
Yeah.
papel na pinipage turn mo siya.
At
Na
naamoy
pwede
mo
mo,
siya.
naamoy mo yung bagong biling na print na comics.
Bango, no?
Di ba? Parang gano'n. Ano siya? Parang iba yung feeling na hawak mo siya. Hindi yung nakaganon ka lang sa computer. Parang mas maganda yung nabasa mo. Parang pwede yung balik-balikan.
Oh. How about you?
Kasi sa akin naman, personally, nagdi-digital din ako. Pero kasi yung dahilan ko naman, saka yung dahilan din ng iba kasi yung space din kasi. So, di-digital ko na lang. Yung iba kasi, gusto ko talagang basahin, pero syempre dahil sa maraming speculate nga, tumataas yung presyo din talaga. So parang hindi ko kaya i-afford yung mga ibang comic books lalo na yung mga sinauna pa. So what I do is just yung parang bibilin ko na lang online sa mga apps na meron or yun nga.
Pero Gerald, okay, what these guys are saying, and then you yourself admitted na parang nawawala na nga sa mainstream yung comics, di ba? Hindi mo na nabibili sa bangketa. Ano nangyayari ngayon to preserve it? I mean, mukha kasi napaka-niche market itong
Well,
local
actually,
comics, di ba?
ironic nga kasi yung digital nga yung sumasagip yung sa comics medium ng mga Pinoy because some creators go sa internet to show their work. Initially, they're free. That's how 13, a comic book by Budget Tan, started. It's about a supernatural investigator set in the Philippines. So it started as a web comics, free to read sa blog, sa isang blog. Tapos, ngayon, it's now available in bookstores. So, there's no stopping now yung creators. If you want to have your work out in the world, you can just post it online.
Yes.
And eventually reap yung benefits nun later.
Ika nga, pinag-usapan naman earlier yung mga artists ngayon, Pinoy artists doing work for Marvel. So much easier now, di ba, to work off-site.
Yeah.
Ina-outsource na dito yung paggawa. And
Yeah.
it really is helping also our artists in that sense, no?
Actually, meron nga tayo, taga-Pangasinan lang siya, rural yung environment na sa Dexter Soy.
Dexter Soy,
Tapos,
yeah.
Dexter Soy. Tapos na-discover lang siya ng Marvel through fan art of Thor. Tapos from that, binigyan siya ng break ng Marvel, Captain Marvel. Yun yung female na version ng
Yes.
Captain Marvel na magiging movie na rin ng Marvel Comics.
Yes.
So marami tayong comic book artists sa Pinoy na yung creations sila ay maging ma-adapt na rin into a movie.
Wow. No. Okay, now let's talk about what's being done now in the local comic graphic industry. And I understand you have some samples there. Ano yung mga hawak mo?
I guess we have to thank yung Culture Crash Comics.
Okay. Can you hold up, please? Yeah, so the audience can see.
Yeah.
Culture Crash Comics. What is Culture Crash about?
Though nag-fold na rin yung series na to, pero noong early 2000,
Okay.
nagkaroon ulit ng interest sa comics. So they're basically manga-influenced creators.
Okay.
Pero ang stories, Pinoy na Pinoy. So kahit na malalaki yung mga mata nila. So may following po ito.
Okay, yun talaga yung manga.
Ayun talaga yung manga.
Yun talaga yung manga. Oh.
Di ba kasi, and it's part yung new generation of comic book creators. Tapos with the help of yung award-winning graphic novelist.
So
I'm
Culture
sorry.
Crash started it, and then now we have, and it's developed from there.
Yeah, it's
Since
actually
the 90s.
parang coinciding kasi
Okay.
it's during early 2000s.
Okay.
Tapos si Arnold Ari, he came up with graphic
Can you
novel
hold up,
after graphic novel.
Okay, so this is called The Mythology, Class by Arnold Are.
It's
who's
actually
also Pinoy.
National Book Awardee.
Wow.
So marami siyang graphic
And
novels.
it says it's a graphic novel, no? So pinag-usapan na namin earlier, yung Standee, di ba, and then in graphic novel, and this is a graphic novel.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it for readers, and you can see, actually, may style siya, no?
Yeah.
And actually, when you say graphic novel, very, very detailed and quite, hindi nga pambata almost, no?
Yeah.
It's really comics for adults.
Yeah. Tsaka maganda yung content niya kasi parang nag-research talaga si Arnold sa yung mythology.
Philippine mythology.
Yung how to cash a tikbalang, never thought na kailangan sasakyan mo pala. Dito ko na nalaman yun, parang galing, parang hook ako dito.
Yeah.
Grabe.
How is the youth catching on to things like this? I mean, yung Filipino youth, ano yung reception nila sa ganyang new Filipino comics?
Actually, natatandaan ko yung office mate ko, I just made a mere mention of Arnold Are, para siyang fangirl, nag-scream. So may following na,
Following na
may,
yan.
we have Manic Sabrera, na
Machine.
may silent comic book strips siya na,
Kiko Machine.
na comic strips rather, na may following na as in pipilahan siya sa Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Mas mahaba pa sa pila ng ticket mo.
Rockstar, parang rockstar.
Rockstar na of the
Mahaba,
local
mahaba.
comic industry. Ang galing naman. No, I mean, that's nice. Kasi, you know, I mean, for those familiar with the Philippine comic scene, in the 50s and 60s, di ba, nabuhay yan eh. And then parang nag-peter out. And it's good that itong new generation of artists and comic makers are doing it. And you have other magazines or
Yeah.
other comic books you want to show?
Well, this is the Filipino Heroes League by
Sige, hold
Paulo
up. Yeah.
Fabregas. If you remember yung Coke commercial, yung bridesmaid ka lang, siya yung
Yes,
lalaki.
yes. Oh.
Siya yung lalaki na nagsabi dun kay
Filipino
Belinda.
Heroes League.
So
Book
he
one,
wrote,
Sticks and
he wrote
Stones.
and drew this. So it's a third world Justice League.
Yeah.
Parang with tight budget, how would you save the Philippines? Parang ganun.
With tight
And-
budget.
Galing naman yan, ang galing.
And
And
tas
finally, we have
Tapos
the
ito, it's
call
in-
center comics. Ayan.
it's
Oh.
indie format siya. So
Okay.
basically ano to, photocopied sa UP. Eh.
Xerox.
Merong
Xerox.
Sige, open it. Yan,
Yeah.
so people can see it. Steady. Okay. Ano naman thrust nitong call center comics?
Well,
It
ito
looks-
yung parang mga perks sa being a call center agent. So, nakakatawa rin naman, natutulog siya sa work.
Very
niya.
nice. Okay, quickly before we close, we have about 2 minutes. First, Gerald, ano yung plans or is there anything on the horizon sa independent or Philippine comics that we can anticipate this year, 2015? Meron bang mga malaking mangyayari or activities?
Siguro, we're anticipating yung 10th year ng Comic-Con.
Okay,
We're coming up
okay.
with something. Comic-Con is the large gathering of comic book enthusiasts.
Okay.
And I think ano rin, we're also expecting more diverse works kasi hindi lang naman aswang at ano yung genre natin. And I think
True.
maraming exciting things to come sa indie scene.
Yes, that's very, and that's something really worth following. And in fact, if you have any contacts in that scene, I would love to have them on the show and talk about more in detail,
Yeah.
exactly what inspires them, how do they get their ideas, di ba? Kasi very interesting yung sinabi mo, pati yung Philippine mythology, di ba? Ginamit nila dyan sa mythology class, di ba? Very interesting. Good. Well, congratulations, Gerald, and more power to you in your blog. Now, final words from the officials of Comics Club Philippines. Let's start with Ryan.
Sa mga
And activities as well, and how can they find you?
you can join our Facebook page. It's at you just search.
/CCP forums.
Yeah, CCP
And
forums.
then
ganun,
CCP buy and sell.
Yeah, you join both the forums and the buy and sell. Comics Club Philippines forums and Comics Club Philippines buy and sell.
Okay.
Ayan.
And then head administrator, last words, maybe inspire them to take up comics, collecting comics as a hobby.
Well, always remember, comics is for all ages. Doesn't matter if you're young or old. And also, kasi pag unite lahat in common interest, and masaya siya. It's fun reading.
And it's a fun group, no?
Yeah,
Talagang, a way to
Masaya
relax
kami dun,
Yeah.
and and enjoy all these wonderful works of art. No? It really is
Yes,
pop art talaga siya. Pop
Yeah,
art. Sige, and ako na yung newest member ng Comics Club Philippines.
Approve niyo si Sir Buddy.
Hahanapin ko na yung mga kahon-kahon dun sa bodega ko ng comics ko. Baka may first edition ako ng X-Men.
Oh, di
Let's
ba?
see.
Benta mo sa amin yung muna, sir.
So guys, thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you for having us.
Brian, of course, Gerald and Ryan. Thank you, and
for
more power
having
to you guys and to your activities. And if you guys have, let's say, other activities you want to promote here coming up, let us know. And by all means, come to the station. We'll share them with the audience. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed our show tonight entitled Comics Club Philippines and learned a lot about comics, the hobby of comics, collecting, selling, and trading comics here on the show. Join us again next week here on Philippines Uncut, where we talk about what matters to you guys because you guys matter the most. I'll see you next week. Ayos!